A little trivia for you. And also to recognize the month of June, it's called Cataract Month. Some of us get older. We do
See that coming.
said. This meeting will be streamed live and recorded for public viewing on the town's YouTube page. We acknowledge that this land on which we are gathered today is part of the ancestral land of the Chippewa, the Ottawa, and Potawatomi peoples, referred to collectively as the Anishinaabe. It is through the connection of the Anishinaabe with the spirit of the land, water, and air. We recognize their unique cultures, traditions, and values. Together, as treaty people, we have a shared responsibility to act with respect for the environment that sustains all life, protecting the future for those generations to come. Council, I would remind you, if you have a pecuniary interest, to please declare it at the appropriate time. Clerk, we have no delegations this evening.
Your worship.
Thank you. Let's go to item 5.1. I have motion by Councillor Vasey, seconded by Councillor Bojan, that the report prepared by Paul De Silva, Director of Public Works, dated June the 4th, 2025, regarding the purchase of tractor and mowers for roadside cutting be received. Council approves the tender submitted by Advantage Farm Equipment, purchase a Fendt 313 G4 tractor, complete with Votex front flail mower and Bomford rear boom mower, at a cost of $339,177.27. Mr. De Silva, before I go to council, I want for questions. I have one that I might as well get out of the way right off the bat. I've had one of the competition, one of the businesses that applied for that actually contact me and ask me about the weight of the machine, if it's stable enough to operate in our conditions that we have. Have you or your team done any research on that to ensure that we're doing something in a safe manner? As a
matter of fact, we have, your worship. So the unladen weight of the tractor is about 10,000 pounds, but that doesn't include the tires or 3-point hitch or any of the wheel weights that they're planning to put on. So by the end of the day, the vendor has said that the tractor will weigh about 14,000 pounds. The vendor of the equipment requires about $13,000 to $14,000 pounds for the tractor, and they're even willing to put it on a scale to prove that it weighs that much. So we have done that due diligence.
What is the horsepower of that Fendt? Do we know offhand? I think we're allowed up to 100.
It's 133 horsepower.
133. Okay. All right. Any questions on that report? Councilor Wolvat.
I guess the only question I have is this canoe procurement group. I do see there was an error made in the end, but is this still the way to go, using this canoe for buying this type of stuff?
Through your worship, when we originally went out to the vendors, we asked them to price the tractors through Canoe. Once we discovered that we had made the error in the price, we actually just put it out for a traditional tender. So this wasn't done necessarily through Canoe. I still think that there's value in using Canoe, especially for when we're purchasing equipment that's very specialized, or where we're purchasing from equipment that only a few vendors provide, and specifically vendors that are outside of our municipality. So I still think there's value there. We just won't be using it for every purchase.
Other than that, does this new tractor, are they the ones down there with the half tracks on them? The fence?
I'm not sure about that.
Oh.
I don't think so, Councilor.
They're big.
Mr. Szymanski?
I just wanted to clarify one thing. We did in the tender note that the vendors could utilize Canoe pricing for it, which we may not necessarily have access to if we weren't members of Canoe.
Yeah, that's all I have.
Councilor Vasey?
Yes, thank you. Through you to Paul. Do you know what the horsepower of the 314 vent is? Off the top of your head?
Through your worship, it's about 8 horsepower more So it's not significant. And I did have that conversation with the vendor as well. And although they offer that as an option, the 313 is going to more than satisfy our needs with the equipment that we've spec'd.
Okay. All I have, thank you.
Councilor Rodriguez,
Thank you. I might have missed it, but what is the expected lifespan of this?
Mr. Silva,
Through your worship, at least 10 years, hopefully longer. We hope for 15. Yeah, but the vendor did say that they hold their value quite well and they last a long time. But in our fleet master plan, we only have a 10-year life cycle. But if it exceeds 10 years, we'd be pretty happy with that.
Okay. Do we only have one that we're using for the entire municipality, or do we have others?
Mr. De Silva,
We just have one currently, and we do plan to surplus it on Gov Deals once we receive the new one.
And do we find that that's enough for the amount of grass we have to cut?
Yes. Yeah, we get at least 2 cuts a year. Yeah.
Thank you.
Councilor Basie,
That was mine, the surplus of the old tractor.
old tractor and more as well, correct?
More is included.
Thank you.
Anything further? Councilor Willett,
Initially, we had one down the road, South Point purchased. They had apparently purchased the mower and stuff. Did we take any penalty or hits for any of that?
So
Silva,
through your worship, regrettably, there was a miscommunication. And they went ahead and brought some equipment in without any signed contract. So no, there won't be any penalties for it.
Thank you.
anything further? All those in favor? It's carried. Okay, council will go to 6.1, motion by Councilor Van Claveren, seconded by Councilor Wolvett. That the minutes be adopted by council and those confidential minutes of the closed sessions. Council remain confidential and restricted from public disclosure in accordance with the exemptions provided in the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. It would be our planning council meeting minutes of May the 26th, 2025. Our planning closed council meeting minutes of May the 26th, 2025. And our regular council meeting minutes of May the 28th, 2025. Council, you've had the opportunity to review them. Are there any questions? All for the vote. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, let's get into the committee meeting minutes. We have on 6.2, moved by Councilor Bojan, seconded by Councilor Rodriguez. Minutes be adopted by council and those confidential minutes of the closed sessions remain confidential and restricted from public disclosure in accordance with the exemptions provided in the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. It would be the Special Events Committee meeting minutes of May the 5th, 2025. Councilor Bojan's our liaison to that committee. Any questions? All for the vote. All those in favor? Carried. Let's go to 6.3, deputy.
Yes. Mr. Wolvett, do you have anything to tell us?
We had the fire committee meeting. We're certainly presented with a new quarterly report, which had been requested. A very good report. So if council has an opportunity to take a look at that quarterly report, take a look at it. It was very good, exactly what we asked for, and kind of sets us up to let us know what is going on quarterly rather than not knowing
So
what the
when-
heck's going on.
When do you get to see that?
Well, you can see it on, it'll be on our minutes, and you can get a
Oh, okay.
get a copy of it.
Okay. If I may, it will be on the next council agenda.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And just a report, because I know this has been a big issue on training. this certification for 2026. It's moving along very well. Fire chief certainly expects us to meet that 2026 guideline, including with the new recruits. So, I mean, that's good news because we were panicking a little bit there. Other than that, I'll just announce that make sure everybody goes for a bacon burger on Saturday, and we certainly have volunteered the council to work all day there. I won't be in town myself, but
Oh, nice.
yeah, that's all I have.
Don't they start Friday night too?
This
They used
set up. They're gonna be,
Set up.
I used to go at 4:30.
No, they're-
Staff used to go and get some.
they're not, they're only doing it on Saturdays.
Okay.
If you want to go and help peel onions,
I
can't do that. At least the deputy would step in.
So
It's the way I'm doing on you.
Yeah, it's 9 till 2 on Saturday, the official.
Okay,
Other than that, that's it.
thanks. Mr. Van Clever,
I actually have nothing to report.
you haven't been doing anything.
I've been doing other things.
But none of my business. Is that it?
Not that I can provide a report for.
Okay.
So, sorry, but we had decoration day
Oh, yeah.
Sunday at the cemetery, and very successful, great day, close to 40 people there. Yeah, it went well. The weather was good, and we had moved it down to the columbarium, and it was a really, really good event. So,
Yeah, but you had good weather for it, that's for sure. Nice, yeah.
yep.
Mr. Boucher.
Just the special events as another event on June 21st at our Arnold Neely Park in Kamlaki. It's the Celebrate Canada event, so there's lots of plans because there's a lot of rides that we had booked for last Canada Day and the weather canceled it, so a lot of those deposits are getting put to this event. So there's lots planned from rides, food, music, activities, and a beer tent with stone pickers. So that's June 21st on Saturday.
Mr. Vasey, I see you're all dressed for the Canada.
Nothing
Good.
really report. We had committee of adjustment last night. One got approved, one got pushed. That's basically it for me.
Ms. Rodriguez.
Yeah, just the fire deck, and I echo Bob, our Councillor Wovat, that it was nice to see that report get established. You know, get some good information, and they did a fabulous job. They had to kind of learn on the fly with the software they're working with, and so it was awesome.
Great, yeah.
Good to see.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy. Just to dovetail on to what Councilor Wavette and Councilor Rodriguez, special thanks to Executive Assistant Nicole Campbell and Chief Davidson for the work they did on that report. They did attend the cemetery decoration day, and as Councilor Wavette said, it was well done. Thanks to him, his committee, to committee member Adrian Verwegen for emceeing it, and to Diane Gould Brown for the work that she did setting it up. Thank you, Deputy Clerk. We appreciate that very much. Last night I had the opportunity to attend Toastmasters 10th anniversary in Petrolia. And it was along with Mayor Brad Loosley from Petrolia and MPP Bob Bailey. Really a special group. I would recommend if anybody is interested in further developing themselves for speaking and confidence, that they attend or join this group. They do have a lot of fun, and you can learn some stuff. So it was a good event. I'm glad that I was able to represent the municipality there. Several members that were there are from our municipality, so it was good to see them as well. That's about all I have. Deputy, what about you?
No, I don't have much. I stopped in at the museum when the summer student was being introduced, and she's going to be the one that does some virtual stuff, so.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's all. I just met her, that she said, hello, Muriel. So we laughed. And that's about all.
Name tags from now on.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
if I may, at the fire committee, you were asking them to provide you clarification for tonight's meeting on bacon burgers, whether they did need.
They do need some help on Saturday, and they will, accept some assistance Friday, getting things ready.
Did they give you a time frame on Friday?
Oh, they're probably there, I think, early in the morning. Yeah.
Thank you.
Just one thing before you go on, Deputy brought something up about the museum. All the people I've been talking to have joined into the new program that we've got out as far as the banners on our recognizing our war heroes and those from our community that have served and given their lives. And the positive comments that we're getting back are just unreal. We really do appreciate it. One gentleman I talked to had been in Kamlaki with our staff, making arrangements to take part in it. And he and his family actually went to the museum. Although he said he's been in there many times, he's never had the opportunity to wander around and look and observe, and was certainly impressed with what was there. And said it brought back a lot of memories that he'd heard his dad talk about. So kudos to our museum people. They've done a great job out there. And of course, we got great hosts for it.
Well, they were good. Yeah, they're really good.
They are.
Very detailed.
Okay, let's move it along. Let's go to accounts. Nothing added to that, Deputy? Person clerk?
Nothing.
Clerk. I got deputies and I got everybody everywhere here. All right, 8.1. Staff reports moved by Deputy Mayor McEwen, seconded by Councillor Van Claveren. The report by Paul De Silva, Director of Public Works, dated June the 6th, 2025, regarding the Municipal Housing Infrastructure Program Health and Safety Water System Project recommendations be received, and the council approves an application to the MHIP HSWS to replace existing 100 millimeters of asbestos cement water mains within the former village of Wyoming. Mr. De Silva is here. If you have any questions. Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Let's go to 8.2, moved by Councillor Rodriguez, seconded by Councillor Basie. That the report submitted by Paul De Silva, Director of Public Works, dated June the 3rd, 2025, regarding in municipal class environmental assessment structures 60 and 80 be received, in the proposal submitted by BM Ross and Associates Engineering in the amount of $40,000 plus HST to undertake Schedule B Class EA for structures 60 and 80 be approved. Are there any questions? Deputy?
Yes, I do have some questions on this one. I took a drive out to that bridge on O'Brien, and it's just a plank crossing that really goes to nothing. So I'm wondering why we have to have a $20,000 assessment on it when it doesn't go anywhere, and if it's going to be removed. Does that make sense to you?
De Silva?
Through your worship. Yeah, no, that's a good question. And I just want to be clear. So we ran through the checklist regarding whether any of these bridges had cultural or heritage value. So if they did, it would be a requirement to go through this process, but they don't. So I want to be clear that it's not a requirement that we do this. Council could make a decision right here and now that they want to abandon or close or remove these bridges. I still think there's value in the process to do the consultation. I think there's value in the engineering assessment that they're going to perform on these structures, because there are other alternatives besides closing or removing, including rehabilitation or replacement. So at $20,000 per structure, I still think that there's value in undertaking this assessment.
Okay, I can see that you might think so, but it doesn't make any sense to me. So for either one, actually, like Elmsley, the use that it gets wouldn't be worth $20,000 that you're going to spend for an environmental assessment, if that's what it is, isn't it? Environmental, yeah. And then it would have to have improvements. There's no doubt about that. Elmsley especially would get more use. But this O'Brien one is, it's just beyond me why we would consider even having an assessment on it. So that's my viewpoint.
A question, Mr. De Silva, because it is mandated, like we do this every 2 years, we didn't get any compensation from the province for this? Well,
We do
it's
not.
all us.
It's all us. Yeah.
Councilor Wolvett, then Councilor Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This, by the way, is not the first time we talked about bridges and roads that we talked about surplusing and for the same reason, bridges, cost of bridges. I remember going back the last 3 councils I've been on, talking the same thing about let's surplus it, let's get rid of it because these bridges are falling apart. So I think kind of piggybacking here on Nettie's thoughts here, why waste a bunch of money on something that we know we're not going to spend $500,000 replacing the bridge? Wouldn't it be better to spend the 20,000 ripping it out of there? And like I said, we've had this discussion many times, and I've asked here about coming back with a list of surplus roads and bridges and stuff like that. And I know it's in the making, but I don't know. I agree with Nettie here, spending this kind of money if we know. We should have more discussion on, are we gonna close it or are we not gonna close it before we spend $20,000 or 40 or 60? It's just a thought. I think we just got to start to take a closer look at how we're spending money and what we're spending it on, so anyways, that's my thoughts around it.
Mr. De Silva?
Yeah, just through your worship, if I could just make a comment on that. I think the decision of whether we do or we don't is part and parcel with this assessment. It's going to give us all the information we need to make that informed decision, including all the consultation, not only with the public, but with all the regulatory agencies. Because if we were to, let's say, abandon this bridge, we know that the next step in abandonment is removal. And we know that there's environmental considerations in removal because we have to consider restorations and species at risk. So we would go through that process and we would know exactly what we have to do with all of those alternatives. And that's why I'm saying that I see the value and I get it. I don't like to waste money either, but I do see the value in spending $20,000 to go at least through those motions.
Councilor Rodriguez?
Thank you. I haven't seen this bridge, so I'm more curious than ever as to our deputy mayor's comments on, is a bridge to nowhere? Why are we doing this? And if we make a motion to just abandon it, we have to go through that process anyway with the environmental assessment, as you're stating, to remove it.
Mr. De Silva?
Through your worship, to abandon, we wouldn't, but certainly to remove it and working within the stream bank and everything, for sure, we would have to. We would be spending some money consulting with these agencies for sure.
So either way, we have to do it to remove it.
Eventually.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't see why we're wasting time, especially when Councillor Wolvett is stating you have had previous conversations on the whole thing, and we're kind of regurgitating something that there's no value in.
Must be something on the other side of that bridge. It's got what's on the other side? Is there a field or is there, or sure, a laneway or what?
Yeah, it continues on and terminates just north of the 402 and does provide some access to a piece of property back there. It's not farmed, it's just bush.
Bush. Any other questions on this?
Yep.
Deputy?
So, okay, you get this environmental assessment and then they have, they go to the public and get a consultation, whether they're gonna get opinions on whether that should be closed or open, right?
Right.
So whoever owns that bush, they're going to comment that they want that bridge there so we can go into the bush and look at our trees. Maybe, right?
I would imagine they.
So how much effect does that have? What, like the one property owner to keep that bridge?
Mr. Silva?
Through your worship, I mean, the comments are part of the democratic process, so those get taken into consideration. That would be ultimately a council decision whether they wanted to replace or remove the bridge. And that comment may or may not bear weight in that decision.
I think the only place you're saving money by directing us to remove it now is the engineering to provide options, AKA rebuild, replace new, tear out. You still have to do public consultation. You still have to get the appropriate permits from the Sinclair Conservation Authority, possibly Fisheries and Oceans and others. So the most you're saving is the time to do the engineering, to give prices, to attach the options to council.
Well, that,
Just one more comment, and I suspect what's gonna come back from this study is that bridge is no good. Now, what position does that put us in? Are we gonna have to spend $500,000 to replace it like we did out on that other road? Remember we had to put the culvert in? I think you said it was close to 500,000 to do a culvert, so 350 to 500.
Mr. Sabansky.
Not-
Just over.
Since this is historical, I'll jump in here, Paul, to not mix this situation up. Staff recommended the removal of that culvert due to the fact that of the closed road allowance. Council at the time directed staff to replace it.
Yeah.
This is different in the sense that we haven't got to that point yet. Also recommending doing an environmental assessment, which will provide council options and cost of each option, which will bring council any environmental impacts from the removal or those other options, and will bring council the opinions of the public who live in that area. So this is the first stage of
Yeah.
all of that.
But if they come back, suspect that this is an old bridge and say it's no good, does that mean we gotta close it like now?
Your current OSIMs already suggest that it's in poor shape, hence why your public works director has suggested this study. If it's not rebuilt, removed, or something done in the coming year, yes, eventually you might have to close it. Which would be the same.
Mr. Silva.
Yeah, through your worship, I was gonna make a similar comment, and I'll just add that these bridges are not at risk of failing tomorrow. You know, there's still a little bit of life left in them, but they're getting to that point where we need to start considering the options.
Okay. Any further questions? All right, let's call for the vote. All those in favor? Carried.
Like I'm eating.
Okay, let's go to 8.3. Moved by Councilor Van Claveren, second. Councilor Wabed. Report submitted by Paul De Silva, Director of Public Works, dated June the 6th, 2025, regarding a pumping station rehabilitations, various location project be received, and the tender submitted by Anderson Webb Limited, the amount of $120,519 plus HST be accepted, and that bylaw 59 2025 be taken as having been read 3 times and finally passed, and the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign said bylaw accordingly. Ms. Silva, the author of that report, is here. Any questions? All those in favor? Carried. 8.4. Moved by Councilor Bojan, seconded by Councilor Rodriguez, that the report by Paul De Silva, Director of Public Works, dated June the 6th, 2025, regarding Reese's Corners wastewater servicing study proposal recommendation be received, and the proposal submitted by Jacobs Consulting in the amount of $98,520 plus HST be accepted. Any questions? Councilor Rodriguez.
Thank you. I'm just still very much on the fence about spending $100,000. If somebody tells us how much it's gonna cost to do this thing. I just feel like in-house, we have great experience here. We probably have some sort of idea of what it would cost to extend this sewer service, and then based on that, maybe go further. Do you know what I mean? I don't know where we're going right to. I just feel like you could probably come up with a number in about. That's how I feel. I mean, I just feel like we're spending $100,000 and then we might all go, holy cow, you know what I mean? Like, if we had some sort of idea, pardon?
Something like the bridge.
Yeah, I just, you know, we're spending $100,000 and it might not go anywhere because it's just not affordable. If we had some sort of idea of what we're looking at to say, okay, let's explore it further. I think to me, that's a better use of, because we have great experience here that we can leave.
Silva?
Yeah, through your worship. That's a good question. We definitely have the experience to put something rough together. I think the focus of this study is going to be what are the available options to us. Considering the Wyoming treatment plant is not a large scale plant. So let's quantify how much sewage we could potentially be sending there and see if it's even feasible to do so. So they want to look at a couple of different options. One, like I said, being the conveyance of sewage all the way to Wyoming, which is a very, very large project. You have to build a regional pump station. You have to build all the conveyance systems, including the main. You're talking about a significant amount of money. There are available options out there to us, including like small modular treatment facilities, which we also want to investigate what the cost of those are to see what is the most appropriate solution for out there. So I think that's the main focus. If to throw numbers out, we could do that. We could throw some numbers out. They are expensive, but they're going to tell us what would be the most feasible and cost-effective way of doing it.
And I appreciate that. And I guess to my point is, you know, what's that rough idea of our starting point before we even get to this point? Right? That's all.
Councilor Wolvette?
Well, I think there's one question that I asked during the environmental committee meeting here. I asked Paul the question about, and it's in this report, the answer's in here. I said, are you just looking at our 18 acres out there? Or are you looking at the general area of all of Reese's Corners? Because I mean, I don't think we need to fool ourselves the way expansion is going in Wyoming and which way it probably will go in the future. So the answer was yes, they are looking at not just the plaza area, but the total area out there. So that will be included in this report, the area of Reese's Corners. So
Silva?
Yes, through your worship, that the entire area of this corners, including existing commercial, existing residential, and potential future commercial and residential will be included in the report.
Councilor Rodriguez?
Or that brought up another question. How much land between where sewers stop and the potential expansion is already in the development, new development, yellow? It's already approved for development, for future development. How much?
How much is fit in the settlement area?
Yeah, that's already existing and identified as available for new development.
All of the Reese's Corner commercial and mixed use area would be the main key, and then any areas that have potential for future development. To be clear, this was one of council's strategic initiatives to look at the cost of bringing services to Reese's Corners.
Yep.
This study doesn't just give you cost estimates, it's also going to carry out hydraulic modeling. So we are sure of the quantities where we can handle them. So it's not just a simple cost estimate. It's going to be a fair bit detailed, which can help guide council in determining how they want to service the Reese's Corners area, whether that's through Local Improvement Act, whether that is through funds collected by the town, etc. So there is quite a bit more benefit than just understanding the future costs.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Councilor Van Claveren?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we do a lot of work in this area with Jacobs. I don't know if something like this has been tendered out, if there's just for this study. Maybe you can enlighten me exactly how that all functions.
Silva?
Yeah, through your worship. We did not consider a competitive tender for this because Jacobs already hosts our hydraulic model and did our wastewater master plan. They have all the information already that they need. There would be no data that would need to be collected so that they would be able to do it most efficiently. So that's why we just went with the sole source option here. Certainly in the future, we would consider expanding that out to include other vendors.
Yep, that's all.
Nothing further? Call for the vote. All those in favor? Here. Go to 8.5. A motion by Counselor Basie, seconded by Counselor Bojan. Report by Elizabeth Cummings, Drainage and Engineering Coordinator, dated June 4th, 2025, regarding the petition for drainage works by the Road Authority for Lakeside Street and Gordon Street be received. And that council accepts the petition as filed on June the 4th, 2025, under Section 4 of the Drainage Act, RSO 1990, and that council appoints R. Dobbin Engineering Incorporated to make an examination of the area regarding drainage and prepare a report in conjunction with the report for other Hillcrest Heights property. We have Mr. Tamming, who I believe is filling in for Ms. Cummings this evening. Any questions? Hearing none, I'll call for the report, or sorry, the vote. All those in favor? It's carried.
Should ask me a question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to nothing under 9 clerk bylaws.
Nothing but your worship.
All right. Item 10, 10.1, and then 10.2. For the record, I will declare a conflict of interest and step out. Deputy, you will take the chair for 10.1 and 10.2 if you don't mind.
I will. Do you have the motions there?
I do. There's 10.1 and 10.2.
The motion here moved by Mr. Wolvet, seconded by Mr. Clavering, that correspondence suggests the following motion, that the correspondence submitted by the Plympton-Wyoming Agricultural Society be received and that the Plympton-Wyoming's event on Friday, September 12th be declared as a municipally significant event in accordance with the regulation for a special occasion permit by the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. Oh. It's my knuckles. And another motion moved by Mr. Vaizey, seconded by Ms. Rodriguez, that the correspondence suggests the following motion. Correspondence submitted by the Plympton-Wyoming Truck and Tractor Pull Committee be received and that the Plympton-Wyoming Truck and Tractor event on Saturday, August 23rd, 2025 be declared as a municipally significant event in accordance with the regulation for a special occasion permit by the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario. Any questions? All in favor? Carried.
Okay, let's go to item 11.1. I have a motion by Councillor Van Claveren, seconded by Deputy Mayor McEwen, that correspondence items A to G relating to recommended reading and routine approval and information items be noted as received by the Plympton-Wyoming Council and filed accordingly. A to G. To my left, anything to pull recognized? Hearing none, to my right. Councillor Vaizey and then Councillor Bojan.
Yeah, just to make aware, E, that we did not get funding for the pool rehabilitation. So that's gonna put us behind the 8 ball there for sure. Yeah, that's all I have out of those.
Councillor Bojan?
Thank you. Through you, just a quick clarification question for item A. That's the area we just put a petition in for, because all these issues are caused by drainage for the most part, correct?
Yep. Hearing nothing, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, item number 12, new business. Councillor Bojan. Councillor Vaizey.
Yes, just like to comment on our new stoplights that we got installed in February. They're working well. Where are we at with that project?
Did I run Really?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, you're with the red light.
You're on camera too, right on screen.
Right on, Brian.
Miss Hill,
Probably Bailey's.
Through you, worship, I appreciate the humor, Counselor Vasey. I think all of Wyoming saw me out there last week during my site meeting with the contractor and the engineer. The construction is imminently planned. They're just waiting on a few last minute materials. We looked at a few pole relocations due to some utility conflicts. We also coordinated a few things with Enbridge because a couple of things have to be removed there as well. So hopefully next week.
that would be next week of this month,
And this year.
right? Anything else, Counselor Vasey?
That's all I have, thank you.
Nice sarcasm in there. I like that. Slid it right in. I have nothing except one item to share with you. We were successful in the nomination of Mr. Adrian Verweken for our Senior of the Year. I did share that information with him and he was totally speechless. Absolutely. I've never seen Adrian speechless in my life. And he was very humbled and very thankful to be recognized. And we will be setting something up to bring him in to present him with the certificate, the award for this year. So congratulations, Adrian. Okay, we have nothing. Clerk? Yes,
Yeah, I'm still.
Councilor Rodriguez.
You didn't ask me.
I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand.
Oh, yeah, I thought you were just going around. For new business? Sorry.
Go back, I'll go back to you, Councilor Rodriguez.
Oh.
I have nothing.
If I had nothing, I probably wouldn't have said anything. But I do.
Okay.
And I would like to ask a follow-up question from Mr. Vasey, or Councillor Bailey's inquiry on the lights. Are the costs escalating because of all these delays?
Mr. De Silva?
For your worship, they are not, and I have made that abundantly clear that we wouldn't consider any escalated cost due to the delays.
Okay. So I just wanted to ask two questions on turbines, if I may.
Go ahead. New business?
Under our comprehensive use bylaw, we always review and change up the fees and stuff, but we never seem to look at the turbine fee of 14,000 turbine, and that's been in place probably since 2015. Is there a reason why that's never been considered for an increase?
Not that I'm aware of. Any fees would, in regards to energy projects, you'd probably have to get approval through ISO for that. But no, it's not something that has been asked for council to review or look at.
So would process to ask for that to be reviewed, and is there any interest in review?
That's clear.
I believe you're talking about with the building permits.
Yeah, that 14,000.
I believe when we did the last review, I consulted with our chief building official on that, and they definitely calculate that based on cost recovery. And I think that that is still the estimated cost recovery. I can confirm with her that at the time we went through every fee,
Yeah.
so she had no suggested increase to it.
Oh.
I'm not sure that because we aren't issuing any and we aren't decommissioning any, that we have experience on what any of that takes at this time. So that fee's kind of standing back at what it was, but I can inquire if.
Yeah, okay, I appreciate that. And just because everything gets this inflation increase and it doesn't too, so I think that needs to maybe understand why it isn't getting an inflationary percentage.
I guess, my apologies, I should have asked more questions. That was in regards to building permit fee, not in regards to a fee we collected through agreement or something.
So that was my next question. Me. In regards to the agreement, which has been in place since 2015. I believe in the agreement, it states it gets re-looked at or reviewed every 5 years. And it was executed in June of 2015, so we're now in June of 2025, 10 years later. And those fees, it did state in the agreement that there's an inflationary increase, put into it, but are those costs realistic in today's numbers, to start with? I believe after inquiring with, Christine, we're collecting $8,500 a year approximately, for these 40 some odd turbines, and that's based on a fee per kilometer electricity network, and then how many roads are affected. And so there were very small, minimal fees, and I don't know if there is an ability to kind of have some sort of number increase in those based on the fact we're 10 years later, and I don't think final cost would help with anything in today's cost of economy right now.
Those fees can only be increased through mutual agreement with the companies and under guidelines of ISO. So it can be looked at, especially since we're up for review anyways at this point. So we'll definitely have a look at that over the next few months. There.
Thank you. That was it. Thank you.
You, Deputy,
Thanks.
Councilor Van Clever,
Sir, thank you.
Councilor Wolvett.
The only item I would have, I had two items, but Councillor Vasey kind of stole my thunder on the lights. That was my question every week, Mike.
I knew that.
Is it 2 weeks? Development fees. A lot of chatter going on in the provincial government about reductions, major reductions or elimination of development fees for new housing. Just wondering, where do we stand on, I know it'll come down from the province, but do we know any more about that and whether that's happening or?
The specific regulations on that have not been provided. They're still kind of getting the guidelines ready for us. Our development fees are due to be start review this fall. So we're hoping that at least we have a little bit better guidelines than we have now before we start that review.
Because the reason I bring it up is it can have a big effect on us. We depend on those development fees big time. And I don't know what kind of resistance we can put up, but seems to be an awful lot going on with the provincial government now and some of the things that they're ruling on that affects us directly. And it's kind of, we don't hear much about it until it happens. Then all of a sudden it's there. So I guess you're on top of it, but we're not hearing much, but.
And I do believe some of those we've received correspondence from other municipalities, and I do believe we've actually supported some of them in regards to some of those changes and not letting the province take complete control of how we control the future development in our municipalities.
Yeah. Okay. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Closed sessions. We have nothing this evening, clerk. We'll go to 14.1. Moved by Councilor Wolvett, seconded by Councilor Van Claveren, that bylaw 60 of 2025 being a bylaw to confirm all resolutions of the council meeting held June the 11th, 2025 be taken as read 3 times and finally passed, and the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the said bylaw accordingly. All those in favor? Carried. And number 15, motion by Councilor Vasey, seconded by Councilor Bojan, that the regular council meeting be adjourned until the next regular meeting to be held on June the 25th, 2025, commencing at 5 p.m. All those in favor? It's carried. Well, that concludes the meeting for this evening. For those that are joining with us virtually, we thank you very much for your patience and for being with us. Have a safe ride home for those that are in council chamber.
Happy.